Welcome back, everybody, to the David Cerebral Palsy and Fitness podcast. I'm here with Emily. She's a disability advocate, and today she's going to go ahead and share her story with us here on the podcast. Welcome, Emily. So, Emily, I wanted to first start off the podcast with the first question for you, which is, tell us a little bit about yourself and your condition. How did that come about?
My name is Emily Cowen. I have athetoid, quadriplegic, cerebral palsy. I am unable to walk independently. My motor skills are impaired, and I have a speech impediment. Even though I have cerebral palsy, I always had a childhood just like any other kid. And a big reason for that was my mom. She held me to the same standards as everyone else in my age range, and therefore, everyone else did in my family. I was in general education classes all throughout my schooling. Then, when I graduated high school, I went on to get my bachelor's degree in psychology. Obviously, growing up with cerebral palsy had its challenges, like I couldn't play on the playground in elementary school, or some years my aides at school were not the best. But overall, I had a very good childhood, which most of it was spent with my mom, my stepdad, and my grandma. My uncle was a big part of my childhood also for the first 6 or 7 years. There wasn't anything he would not do with me, from playing video games to going on big roller coasters.
That's really cool. That is so awesome. It sounds like you had a very strong and supportive family unit, and you seem to really have grown up into somebody that's really wanting to do more and wanting to be out there, and that's very admirable. That's very admirable. So my next question to you is so who or what is your biggest inspiration in your life?
This is probably not the answer you're expecting, but my biggest inspiration are the people who say that I can't do things. People have said that I couldn't go to college, couldn't work, couldn't live independently, unlikely to have a relationship, and I'm currently doing all of that.
Wow, that's really awesome. You would think, right, that people would be more understanding, but it's up to us to really want to make that change. Really want to build that relationship between, you know, peer to peer or just, human to human. So it's awesome to see you doing that. And I've been watching, some of your videos and then seeing you really get out there. Like I said, it's very admirable and it's something that everyone is doing every day. But of course, society always tends to glorify it.
Thank you.
Of course. Yeah, it's I'm glad you reached out to me to be on the podcast today. And then my other question for you was, tell me how you got involved in advocacy work.
At age 14, I was in my first disability advocacy group. And then after I started that, other opportunities came my way. I was in that group for 10 years, although I am very thankful for being in those groups because it began my passion for disability advocacy. Didn't like how they were run. That gave me the idea to start my own disability advocacy business. To answer the second part, yes, society needs to work on making things more accessible, whether it's wheelchair accessible public places, digital accessibility, or disability etiquette.
Yeah, it's a shame that a lot of the things we tend to use daily and take for granted is still lacking in accessibility that we actually need. And, it's something that we really have to address together, as a community. We each have our own separate community and it's up to us to really want to make those changes and to encourage other people outside of our circle to want to join in that cause. And then what are you most thankful for in life, or what are some things you're thankful for in your life?
I am most thankful for the people in my life, my fiance, my family, friends, and my three very good personal care assistants. They all help me have a good life.
Yeah, that's wonderful, and the funny thing is, when you're thankful for them, it'll encourages you to wanna give back even more, right? It really encourages you to want to, help them when they help you, because one day they might have to rely on you for something, right? And then where can my listeners find you? What are some of your socials?
People can find me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. If you just look up my name, everything should pop up, including my website for my business.
That is fantastic, and I truly, truly am privileged and honored to have had you here today. And I definitely wish you the best in everything you do in your business, in your life, in your relationship, and just any future endeavors you encounter and come across.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thank you for reaching out. You're probably the first person I've had on ever in the 10 years I've done this podcast that I've actually they've actually used an assisted talking device. So you're like the very first one. So I'm very privileged to have had you on. So it's something different for me. But it's awesome. I really enjoyed it.
That's cool.
Yeah, thank you, and I'll probably have this podcast out very soon. If you guys want to listen to this podcast, you guys can go on Spotify, iTunes, and every other major podcasting outlet out there. As always, I hope you guys stay blessed, stay happy, and stay healthy. Thank you so much again, Emily, and until next time, everybody, have a good one. Thank you.